Hello, and welcome to TandyCast, Creative Saskatoon. I'm your host, Tandy Wilson. Today, we'll sit down with Kevin Wesaquate. I'll have him introduce himself, talk a little about the visual arts and some poetry that's happening in Saskatoon. I hope you enjoy. Let's dig in. All right, so if I could just get you to introduce yourself, that'd be amazing.
My name is Kevin Wesaquate. I am from Piopot First Nation, and I've been living in Saskatoon, where I make my career. I've been doing this for the past 10 years.
Okay, good.
As an artist.
Nice. You're a visual artist? Is that how you started?
I'm a visual artist and a spoken word artist, meaning that I do spoken word poetry, and I also do storytelling.
Nice. So you're involved with SkyUp, and
yeah.
What are some other involvements or?
I started my arts career with SkyUp, but I basically just kind of created. Out of this space, I created a group called the Indigenous Poets Society, and it's basically off of the development of the Tinnitus Poetry Group that exists here in Saskatoon.
Yeah, over at Amigos.
So I wanted to encourage more Indigenous artists to come out and try out spoken word, and I thought, I kind of suspected that the people who were out there, they just weren't coming back to the regular Tinnitus poetry scene for spoken word. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of why is this happening? And I started doing my own editing circles with other Indigenous writers so we could reflect upon each other's work, whether it's culturally sensitive or whether it's, what we deal with in urban environments and sometimes reservations and stuff like that. And then I found that there's artists, writers from all walks of life, from Indigenous backgrounds, whether they're moving in from the city or they're from the far north, like all those lakes up in northern Saskatchewan, or maybe even Métis communities also. So there's all different types of writers out there, and I found that we all basically just kind of added to the table, and then I just saw the group grow. Indigenous Poets
started growing.
Society. And I didn't really suspect that it would grow to Edmonton. Now Calgary wants us next, and Winnipeg also wants to develop their own Indigenous Poets Society. So as I suspected, the writers are out there. It's just giving them that safe platform to begin their writing careers.
Yeah, well, I like that. I think you've done a great thing there then.
Yeah.
You teach some classes here at SkyUp as well? Is that one of the many various things that you're involved with?
I do visual art classes, and I do some mentoring with younger artists and stuff like that. So with my visual art classes, I when I started here, it was like a voluntary type thing, and I was only here because I wanted to explore my paintings with acrylic and learn from the artists that were already here. And I volunteered my time, and I ended up volunteering to do face painting. And I've always worked well with kids. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, I was sitting in on some workshops and just kind of watching how I was doing. And someone left this job placement open here at SkyUp, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to check this out?" And I took them up on the offer. That was
that's right on.
That was
in the door.
Over 10 years ago, and I've been doing these visual art workshops since then. So I craft them the way I want to do them, and a lot of them have become Indigenous in reflection, whether I'm making dream catchers from and harvesting materials from the land around here, or whether it's just trying to mimic other artists like Norvell Morrisseau or whatever painters that are local, and try to kind of do what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the mediums that you enjoy using in your practice with the arts?
When I first started, it's acrylic. I'm working on an acrylic painting right now for a community, painting a teepee as we speak. But it's mostly been acrylic type painting for the majority, and recently I've been trying to explore and improve my art So I've been working with watercolor. So I have my next shows in this coming year are all going to be watercolor type paintings and stuff. And I'm finding the transition a lot more difficult than I anticipated because there's so much to learn.
Acrylic is really, it's nice to work with, right? It's very forgiving.
It is.
When you get into other mediums, it can definitely throw you a curveball sometimes.
Yeah. It's like what's watercolor. It's like the blending and what's translucent and what's opaque and what's like really commanding on your watercolor sheet. And I'm finding like there's so many different variations of even paper that you could use and paints. You know, I don't know. I'm learning, and that's what I like about being here amongst these artists is I'm always learning different things with art.
Yeah, I could see that. I've been involved with SkyUp in the past, and I've learned a lot from this place. It's really good. But okay, so. You have a festival coming up.
We're attending a festival in Guelph, Ontario, and I'm leaving tonight. Actually, I have to be out of my house at like 3 a.m. and it's kind of a pain.
What's the
to
date?
Go check into my flight at 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
It starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
And everyone just basically checks into the festival tomorrow, and it's for 1 week, and it's called the Canadian Festival of Spoken Word. It's a national competition in which teams from all over the country send in teams. So this year, I didn't really think that the Indigenous Poets Society would qualify as a team member series for this event, but apparently the rest of the community thought that we were, and they encouraged me to go ahead and try to apply for it, and I did, and we got in, and it was like amazing. But for us it was very last minute because we weren't really certain we were going until July. It was like basically word of mouth. So we kind of were talking about it, and then we're kind of making plans about how we were going to fundraise, but we really didn't start our fundraising process until the end of the summer, like in August, and we really put a push on it, and it's been hard, like a learning experience, I guess. And
but for sure,
so far so good.
Yeah, well, it's quite impressive, and this being the first ever all Indigenous.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. We're making history. The first all Indigenous team. Now, my friends online on social media are saying stuff like, "Oh, I can't wait to see this all Cree team."
Oh yes, yeah. That's kind of the misconception I see.
Yeah.
So, is there a lot of what kind of like? Métis as well? Is there?
Yeah, we have Métis Cree poets.
Plains Cree.
We have Soto Cree poets.
Nice.
We have and myself, I'm Dakota Cree. I'm from Piapot, so I have a little bit of Sioux background in our history out on Piapot First Nation.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just like various different backgrounds here all coming together.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
The family language is Cree for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe there's a few names that you can tell us who's all going to this festival.
We have veteran poet that went to the event with tonight's poetry, Sean Joseph, who goes by the stage name Overflow.
Okay.
He's a talented and he really likes making beats, and he really likes freestyle. Well, not freestyle. Mostly like with his hip hop, he likes to make songs and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But spoken word is a skill that he picked up along the way.
Yeah.
By my encouragement, and so far so good. He loves it. Another poet. The other guy poet on our team is Alex Allery. He goes by the stage name Loud Voice, and man, he's got some skills. He just like fell into it so seamlessly. This is like he was meant to do this type of thing. I don't know if he knows it, but he's probably like one of the most skilled spoken word Indigenous artists that I've heard for a long time. There used to be this one guy in our community. He went by the stage name of Zacchaeus Jackson. He passed away in 2014, I think 2015. Real huge loss for the community, but so gifted with his use and articulation of different words that he was using to kind of do these poems.
Yeah.
and I haven't seen anyone that was able to grasp those types of words and stuff than what Alex is doing. And like I don't want to blow smoke up his butt or anything like that, but I want to encourage him, but in a healthy type of way. I don't want to encourage that ego. Sometimes you get people that come through this type of thing and they start developing these, well, I don't want to say it, but they get these egos.
It happens.
And I kind of feel like sometimes that happens to me with the art, so I try to stay as humble as I possibly can.
Absolutely.
With this.
You got to reflect.
I got to reflect. I got to step back and be like, look at it from the outside in and be like, oh, this is the community we're stepping into. This is what it's about, and this is what we're saying, and this is why it's important. But I see nothing but big things for the group. We also have Keisha Cook. She's from Manitoba, Grand Rapids, Treaty 3 First Nation, Treaty 3 territory, I think. Okay. I could be wrong. Don't really quote me on that too much. Okay. But she's also very phenomenal. Her work is just like on point. She came in to do our individual poetry slam competition this past year in February, and it was the first time that we tried to do it. This coming year we're going to be a little bit more prepared, but she won that thing and she represented us in Vancouver for Canadian individual spoken word poetry slam. It's an event in Vancouver called Verses. So she went out there and she has that experience and she knows what to expect. She's going to be running to a lot of poets that she was competing with over there in Guelph, Ontario. So we end up becoming this huge community of artists. And there's another poet that is on the team, and her name is Alexandra Jarrett. She's super important to our group because she's got like way tons, just like other members, but she has got like skills that I don't have in regards to marketing and things like photography, and her organizational skills to kind of keep our board or keep our organization and our planning on like on cue and in par, like, you know what I mean, like, so we're not off the ball and we're kind of
a lot of artists, they don't tend to have that skill. She brings that to the table, and her work, she was reluctant to come out with her work and I don't know, just like in previous years, but she knew she was there and she made herself known that she was there. But this year she was she tried out, and when she came through, she just kind of blew us all away with her work. It was just amazing. Nice. And she's got a bright future with the spoken word. And for all of the team members, for a first time attempt, I couldn't have picked a better team. And I didn't pick the team, the community basically picked the team. How did that process go? The process
is like a year-long type of thing. Okay. What happens is we do monthly poetry slams, and we try to keep track of, we do keep track of who's coming out and who's winning first, second, and third at each poetry slam, each event, and we keep track of that. Then by the end of the year, we look at our list and we're like, oh, okay, well, so and so came in first 3 times, so and so came in second once, or and we get this list happening, and then from that we send out an invite to our finals stage. Okay. And that final stage happens near the end of June, and then we determine from all the poets that compete through our 10-month season, and we figure out who's first, second, and third. It's fun. Sometimes it gets really competitive, but I think that's a part of the making or creating better artists for the community.
Yeah, you need that push sometimes, right?
That extra push really helps out. But in the end, my take of it and what I've taken from it is the confidence in myself, the confidence in my own art with poetry and visual art and painting and stuff like it. I always find that art always complements other styles of art. So while I'm educating myself in regards to spoken word and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate to be spitting out on stage, that also transfers to what I'm painting down on my canvases and stuff. Like, I don't want to be painting the most inappropriate stuff. But sometimes I go there, I go to these dark places with my art, but I find ways to bring myself out of that. And I think that with art,
like, do you use a blend, or you try to practice it on your free time and then escape it later? Is that?
Yeah, and it helps,
Yeah.
And I think that, like, with what I do in my art is just always growing and always, I try to draw.
Sounds like it's therapeutic in a way.
Yeah, very much so. Like a lot of the youth, especially with Indigenous communities, sometimes, coming from northern territories, they have some of the highest suicide epidemics in northern Saskatchewan, northern Canada. I don't know what those numbers translate into the cities, but I know in Thunder Bay, Ontario, is quite high. There's lots of different social issues that are happening that are plague First Nations community, and if art is one of those conduits to help a healthy community, I'm all for that. I'll do everything I can. Since we started this fundraising campaign, I've been basically sacrificing my own ability to generate my own income for my family, right? Like, I got kids and I got to take care of them. So I do a little bit of that sacrifice, and good thing I have a loving partner that helps me out. Shout outs to my lady there, Naomi. Thank you for standing by my side all these years, and seeing me come through this vision is totally awesome.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, is there any other I wish you guys best of luck on the trip coming up there, and
we're just in it for the learning and the fun. I don't think that if we do win, amazing, that's just bonus for me. But I think the ultimate take home is the education behind everything, and the learning, that
experience,
the community building.
Everything really seems like it was coming together. It came together. It does. Is there any other shout outs though that you would like to give to your community here?
My family and friends, or I guess I'd like to give a shout out to the Tonight It's Poetry crew. They've been totally supportive with me building this organization right from the get-go. They right away, my friends in that community saw my vision in regards to bringing in a lot more Indigenous presence to the community, and they've supported me along the way, so I'd like to give them a shout out. I'd like to give a shout out to all of Saskatoon for being cool with me and coming out to the shows whenever we have our shows, to whatever partners we had out there, like SkyUp or other organizations that helped us build our community, and inviting the Indigenous Poets Society out to perform at their schools, their organizations, their events and stuff like that. I'd like to give a shout out to all the poets, all the youth out in the city. You got something to say, and you want to articulate, and you want to build your self-esteem or whatever it is, or your profile as an artist. Come through the Indigenous Poets Society. It doesn't cost you anything to be a member. It just takes some time and effort, and your own literature and your writing.
That's good. Yeah. Well, okay. So if someone wanted to get involved, where would they find you guys?
We don't have an office. You could just find us on social media.
Okay.
We don't.
Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay.
We do a lot of our planning together through kind of messaging type systems, but we're mostly on Facebook, and that's basically how we do it. We got Twitter. I don't know who handles the Twitter.
No.
I don't really keep track.
You're not
I don't know who handles the Twitter.
Guy, no.
We got Instagram.
Okay.
We're posting a lot of photos about the events that we do, and we got a email address. And we'll send you specific emails if you want that information, and that's at Indigenous Poet Society, poet with just one poet, and society @gmail.com.
Okay.
And we'll try to, they're developing an email list, and thank goodness they are, because, I'd be going absolutely nuts if I had to do this all by myself. I'm just fortunate to my team that's helping me out.
Yeah, a lot of hands involved. That sounds great.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And so if someone wanted to come out, is that over at Amigos there? Where do you guys take?
The Tonight's Poetry Crew does their thing at Amigos. Oh, I'm sorry. We do
With the
our shows.
Indigenous Poets Society.
Traditionally, this past year, we did the majority of our shows at the Paved Arts.
Okay, that's a great place.
Shout outs to them. They gave us space to kind of do our shows, but we kind of like wherever we could find space, sometimes we choose different venues to help us out.
Okay.
We're like right now we're just looking for new space. Yeah, I hate to say that, but we really are.
If anybody's out there that has
if anyone's
space,
out there
right?
that wants Indigenous Poets Society to be in their space, give us a shout out.
Yeah.
We're out here.
Yeah, and you can email you guys, so that's
Email
great.
us, contact us on
That is good.
Facebook or whatever.
Well, just sitting here having this little conversation, watching you paint this teepee is amazing, and I thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't wait to hear it.
Great.